Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Mrs. C on Sweet Tea with Mrs. C. And the tea is not about folks and gossip or anything like that. It's pertaining pretty much to me and my journey here as I walk through it. Yesterday, I was talking to you about that I had made a cake, a pound cake. Now, my type of pound cake, anything that I put inside of a Bundt pan or a pound cake form is a pound cake. Now, I also, too, forgot to tell y'all, I had omitted baking powder and the salt that should go inside of that pound cake. So I'm going to give you the recipe again. Okay, so to make my kind of pound cake, and it's actually what it is basically a layer cake in a pound cake form. So I want to clarify that because somebody say, oh, that ain't no pound cake. No, it's not. A pound cake consists of a pound of butter. And because I'm just making it for two, if I were to make a pound cake, I would use 2 sticks of butter. And instead of 6 eggs, I would use 3 eggs. So in this case, I'm just making a layer cake in a pound cake form. And I like that because it's all one thing. You don't have to icing in between and that type of thing. So let me give you that recipe again. Basically, what you're going to need: softened butter, 1 stick. You're going to also need a half a cup of milk, room temperatured, and the butter is room temperatured as well. You're going to also need 2 eggs, room temperatured. Okay, you're going to need 1.5 cup of sugar, 1.5 cup of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. That'll help it rise. And because you're using all-purpose flour. Now, if you use self-rising flour, you don't need the salt or the baking powder because self-rising already have the ingredients, thus the name self-rising. So you're still going to use 1.5 cups of that. Now, I do sift those items. You don't have to, but I do sift it. I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but I sift it because that's what I've always done, and that's just what I do. Okay, so I did the milk. I said the milk, and I said, okay, all of that I already told you. And now go to the flavoring. The flavoring I use, because I said I poured it, and I do. I just pour it. I just eyeball it. But you should use at least 1 teaspoon of lemon and maybe 2 teaspoons of vanilla. That's what I use, okay? But again, like I said, I just pour my ingredients. And so then what I do is I soften that butter with a blender. I blend it a little bit and make it nice and whip it up good. First, a little bit for maybe about 3 minutes. And then I add my sugar a little bit at a time. And then once I get it all in there, that whole 1.5 cups, I blend it all well. And so I make it nice and smooth. And that's about 5 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes. Okay? Nice and smooth, and then once I do that, then I add my eggs, my 2 eggs. I put that in there and blend that up very well. Okay? And so once I get all of that blended up well, then I add my flour. Now see what I do with my baking powder and my salt. I put it in with the sifter until everything is sifted together. I add all of those ingredients, and I add a little bit of flour at a time, about 1/3 of each, I put that inside of there, and then I'd use the 1.5 cup of milk. I use about 1/3 of that as well, as I'm putting in there, flour, milk, flour, milk, flour, that sort of thing. So that's what I do until it's all gone. Blend that up very well. And then I add my flavoring, which is the vanilla and the lemon. And once you mix all of that up good, then you get your pan that you have already pre-greased with either some butter, margarine, or whatever you're going to use, and flour it, or, the Baker's Joy, that sort of thing that already have the ingredients in it. I put my oven on 325, so that it can cook well. Now, like I told you the other day, that my cakes were falling. My literally, when I was making pound cakes, the pound cakes, and again, because I'm using half the ingredients, I was using 2 sticks of butter, making 3 and 4 pound cakes, and all of them was falling. It got into the place. It was so funny because, when I was cooking it, my husband comes down and says, "Shh, the cake is cooking." It was like the cake would hear us talking because they were fall. My cakes, about 5 cakes fell. I was like, "Shh, the cake is cooking," and I didn't want him to make a lot of noise, and I didn't want to make a lot of noise. And we walking around like it's baby sleep, peeping and looking in the oven, making sure that the cake don't hear me talking or breathing, you know. It was so funny. I got the light on and I'm looking and I see it rise and I'm all excited. Yes, my cake is rising. My cake is rising. Then I turn my back and walk away and come back. Like, what the heck? It done fell. So I was not I was not understanding it. And like I said the other day on the video that I sent out, that this is a new oven. So it was no excuse for this cake to fall. And so I was trying everything. I said, okay, is it my flour? Is it my flour? Is it my butter? And so I was using some cheap butter, but I had used that cheap butter with my other oven. No problem. So then I went to Land O'Lake. And okay, so the Land O'Lake seemed like it was doing a little bit better, but that still was expensive falling. Like, what the heck? Because I had my oven on 350. And then once I discovered that 325 is what I should be cooking it on, I dropped the heat down because it was cooking too fast. And then it rose and boom, it fell. And so I was like, I've been making cakes for I don't know how many years and had no problem. Like the family come over, y'all want a pound cake? And boom, I'm making a cake that quick and it's done. But for some reason, my cakes was acting crazy. And it was like, okay, am I losing my touch? What's going on? But once I turned it down to 325, my cakes seemed to be doing much better. And using all-purpose flour, with the baking powder, it seems like it's doing much better. I'm not having that issue, As I stated yesterday, it looked like it was trying to go down. I was like, no, you better not. I'm talking to my cake, like it can hear me. It stayed like it was supposed to. But if you would have seen me prior to that, walking around on tiptoes, not making a lot of sound, as if a baby was asleep in the oven, and it was a daggone cake, scared would hear my voice and fall. But I got it together. My cakes are now acting like they're supposed to. And every time I see a good one, I'm like, yes, my cake is back. My cake is back. I got it. But again, like I said, just to explain my pound cake is in a pound cake form, and it's a pound cake shape. It's not a layered cake. It's a pound cake shape. So I call it a pound cake, although it's technically just a regular cake without the extra butter and extra eggs, but it tastes just as good, so I just wanted to clarify that in case somebody looking at that and said, that's not the way you make a cake. You don't make a cake in that matter, and that sort of thing. So how y'all doing today? So far today I'm doing well. I am going to get ready to start walking. I hadn't walked yet. It's later in the evening. I watched the football game. But first I want to stop and I want to just, send a prayer, my prayers and thoughts for those people in California where their homes have burnt down. Pray for them, that they will have some type of, get some type of resolution and get something to help them, a new home or, I pray for provisions for them for whatever they need. That's what my prayer is. So, but again, back to myself, today it was a good day and I'm going to get ready to walk a little bit and get my exercise in, but I wanted to come on here to let you know about that pound cake scenario because I know some of you cooks out there and I know I got a lot of them out there that know how to cook. And I'm calling a pound cake with 1 stick of butter, but it's a pound cake shape. So that's my pound cake. And also too, I made it with pineapples, like I said, with the crushed pineapples. And I used the confectionery sugar and, to sweeten it a little bit and put that inside of a bowl, mix that all together. And then I slathered that all over my pound cake and patted it in. And, and the cake, like I said, it turned out very, very well. So, but anyhow, I'm going to get ready to start my walk. Oops, get ready to start my walk. And I'm going to put it on my normal 2, because again, like I said, this is not a race. This is not a race. I'm not trying to race or run. Eventually, I'll pull it up like 2.2, 2.3, 2.4. But right now, this is this is what I'm doing. So I'm holding this phone in a particular manner, and then if I put my right hand up, it covers over the lens, and I don't want that, so I'm holding it with my left hand the best of my ability while walking on this treadmill. But anyhow, I just wanted to come on and let you know about my pound cake, what my pound cake consists of. It's not a typical pound cake. It's actually a layer cake. And also cut in down the size because it's just the 2 of us, so I don't need to make a great big old cake. But anyhow, y'all have a blessed rest of your day, whatever time that is today. A blessed night, blessed afternoon, blessed evening. Have a blessed day, not a stressed one. And don't put up with no mess, as I say all the time, okay? And I really, really mean that. Don't put up with no mess. In the meantime, in between time, I will chat with you later. All right.